Babe, wake up. New Zenless Zone Zero article just dropped. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. They interviewed the CEO of Zenless Zone Zero. Not actually the CEO, the head dev, but you get my point. And they kind of spoke to him and asked him a few questions about what is actually going on with Zenless Zone Zero. They actually asked him some questions on what is going on with Zenless Zone Zero, when it's getting released, how the story works, combat systems, how they're changing, nerf, buffs from the beta tests we've experienced, all that kind of stuff. Also as well, I want to recently thank you all for the support that I've gotten on my videos. We hit 1,000 subs 2 days ago. We're already at 1,100. Thanks. So the first thing they kind of asked him was how long has the develop period been? And he just said, not an exact number, but it's been around 3 years. Jesus, 3 years and no release, that's kind of crazy. But look, ultimately that's a good thing because what, 3 years into a developing cycle and we haven't seen any like finality can be taken two ways. It could be like, okay, this game's never coming out, or it could be taken as they're making this perfect before they release it. I like to believe in the latter, but this could kind of be a Starfield situation of, oh, the game's been built for 25 years. I hope that's not the case. And then they also asked him, what was your reaction to the closed beta test? And we would like to know specifically if there are improvements that would be made based on the feedback received from the CBT. Zenu's response was, we've received heaps of feedback, players seem happy with the project, and they have high expectations and the desire to play it as soon as possible. Zenu also knows from the issues that they found from player feedback that the game still has weaknesses. I'm happy that they accept that and they don't just kind of gloss over it and never say anything whatsoever. Problems with the storyline, maybe one of them with CBT. Some people responded saying that it was difficult to understand what we were trying to draw, so we'll focus more on optimizing it. We will devote resources to making our stories easier to read and understand. Combat was also a very important aspect of our first beta test. We learned a lot. Keep in mind, by the way, this is from a Japanese source, so this is Google translated. I'm trying to ad-lib it and make it more fluid, so bear with me if it gets a little bit janky. But yeah, it seems like they're changing more than anything the story, or at least they're trying to portray it more blatantly. I didn't seem to find many issues with following what was going on there, but I could understand how you would, because it's not so much tells you exactly what's going on, but at the same time, it is somewhat vague. They followed that up by asking if development is going smoothly, and when is the plan of release? Please don't fail me. So Zenu said, development is going very well so far, but I feel that the content is still lacking. Oh no, it's gonna be ages. It's gonna be years, dude. Look, in all honesty, it'll probably be like, what, end of next year, worst case scenario. But hey, I guess we'll have to see. That's just my guess. We know gamers are excited about this game, so we're constantly expanding content and optimizing the gaming experience. The team really cares about details and experiences themselves. I want to make a game that fully meets the expectations of the players, but of course, we ourselves are eager to bring this work to market as soon as possible. Look, you couldn't get a more blanket response if you tried. This is 101, how to scoot around asking about a release date. I'd like to think the game's probably, what, 70% done, 80% done, over 3 years? Because that means, what, we only got 1 year left if they need to only just polish that 20% to make the game really good. I could be huffing copium, like no one's ever seen before. Then they also asked a couple questions about the graphics and the designs of the characters and why they are different from Genshin and Honkai Star Rail. I feel like that's pretty obvious. Like, it's more like an urban sort of feel as opposed to sci-fi or fantasy. And that's pretty much what he said. To sum up what he said, it was, the reason he did it is because it creates a look that's never been seen in previous projects. He came from a graphic designing background, so he personally thinks it would be nice if graphics could have a little more twist in terms of design. Good. Don't show me a single Traveler or Trailblazer copy. Make everything unique. I've already got that stuff. That's the whole reason you play fantasy games, for the fantasy aesthetic, and sci-fi games for the sci-fi aesthetic. It comes as part of the package. Don't make a urban-esque game if you're going to be putting fantasy elements into it, and it seems like he's taken that, and that's exactly what he's done. So props to him. And then they did ask the question of, how do you get characters? What's the gacha system? And his response is kind of interesting when you think about it, because what he says is, we haven't worked specifically on this yet. Right now, all of our time and effort goes into the content and style of the game. Therefore, we are not yet seriously thinking about commercialization. Take that how you will. Some people are going to sit there and say this is just trying to do good PR. Others are going to be saying that he truly does care about the outcome of the game. I would like to think it would be more for the game's betterment as opposed to trying to make money, because look, they've already got the cash outs in Genshin and Honkai Star Rail. Obviously, as a company, everything you do, you want it to make money, but they've got a lot of money. So I like to give the benefit of the doubt and maybe say this could be a passion project where obviously the bottom line needs to be padded, but they're okay with it not doing hundreds of millions of dollars and it just doing tens of millions. Other than that, it was followed up with the only character mentioned in the build you tried was an attacker type. But are there any plans to implement support type characters that can heal allies and improve stats? Zenu's response was, we are planning to prepare more different characters and different roles, so I think that'll happen in the future, but still, every role is built around being the main product, an action RPG. So the core of the game is an ARPG, and the roles develop around that idea. So I'm guessing maybe buffers and healers aren't the forefront of what they're trying to go for here. They kind of just want action, action, action. You know what? I can respect that. Aside from battles, roguelikes, and stories, exploring the city is one of the fun elements, but what can you do in the city? Also, does what you do in the city affect the story? Everything you do in this urban environment affects the story. This will also be reflected in the updates we make in the future, and we hope to keep it interesting while providing more content. Is this gonna kind of be like a Persona situation where you develop bonds? That'd be pretty sick. I think I'm being ambitious with thinking that. If you can have like relationship trees and you get stat buffs from doing the companion missions as opposed to just getting like 30 Stellar Jades or 30 Primo Gems and just leaving, I would rather that tenfold. Wait, that actually sounds kind of sick. The roguelike elements of this work are different from the recently released Honkai Star Rail, and I got the impression that it's compact and delicious. Whoa, yo. Google Translate, relax. Please tell us the fun of roguelikes and the advantages of development. I personally have a similar impression. Roguelikes are a great experience for gamers, and we want to bring that experience into the titles we're developing. However, the roguelike is only one element. There is much more to this game. I have actually analyzed many roguelikes, and I'm very interested in understanding why the roguelike elements of these titles are so appealing. He goes on to say how he likes roguelike gameplay because it gives you a place to let your imagination run wild when developing, and the scope of the concept of roguelike itself is very wide, so it's got a lot of possibilities. Obviously, the combat in ZZZ is going to be roguelike. That would change from time to time? That could just be Translate going a bit crazy, I don't know. Maybe he's saying there's different ways to play. So like, obviously you've seen the arcade, you can go play in the arcade, play like mini games like Snake and Stacker. And then in the open world, there's obviously combat. So maybe it's just like a variety of gameplay so much. It's still under development. What do you think about the end content? Now, I want to talk about this because I think it means true endgame. Stuff to do when you maxed everything and you got nothing to do. Kind of like how we just got Swarm Disaster in Honkai Star Rail. We are continuing to update the end content. It will also include special content. In order to meet player expectations, we plan to invest even more resources into the development of endgame content. So it seems like a big focus of this, and it also might even be worth mentioning that the rating of this game, like the ESRB, it's M. Well, I think it's 16 plus, something like that. It's the highest rating of any game Hoyo has ever done. So I'm guessing because it's naturally now going to gravitate towards a more mature audience, they don't feel as bad putting endgame content in and stressing out the player base. Genshin, I don't know how you think it stresses people out, but I digress. Exciting nonetheless that they're even considering really putting time into endgame content as opposed to just giving it a Spiral Abyss or an MOC and then just leaving. And then they say thanks and they kind of part ways. So that's kind of the whole interview. There was a lot more to it. I did skip a heap of it just because it's a lot of uninteresting stuff that you really won't care about because I don't care about it. It's just stuff like, how did you get to where we are? Kind of the, like, how was the journey to here kind of thing. But ultimately, look, it looks to be in very good shape. It's just, we've got to wait for that final release date or at least one more beta test. Usually the rule of thumb is you get 2 beta tests and then the game kind of releases 5-6 months later, and I beg that's the case for this. Anyway, I'm live every single day over on Twitch, twitch.tv/MaximGacha. If you have any questions about this or Honkai or pretty much anything, you know where to find me. And as always, I'm not going to take any more time up out of your day. I'm gonna head out. See ya.